The rain had turned to ice. Neon signs flickered above the wet metal streets of District 9. Humans and aliens hurried by, heads low, trying to escape the cold wind. But in one dark alley, a small figure didn't move. She sat still, hugging her knees, her body shaking. She was not human. Her skin was a soft shade of blue, glowing faintly. Her hair, long and silver, clung to her cheeks from the rain. Her clothes were torn, too thin for the freezing night. She looked no older than 15 in human years, but no one knew for sure. No one cared enough to ask. Her name was Kalira. She had no home, no family, no planet to return to. Her species had been wiped out during a war humans barely remembered. She was a leftover, a shadow, something people passed without seeing. She hadn't eaten in 2 days. Every time she reached out for help, the shopkeepers pushed her away. Go. Beg somewhere else, they said. We don't feed street trash. Her hands were small and shaking. Her stomach hurt. She had never celebrated a birthday, never even had a name day, which her people used to celebrate when they were still alive. But tonight, she whispered to herself, maybe someone would see her. Maybe someone kind. Maybe ... Suddenly, footsteps. She shrank back into the corner, afraid. The tall figure stepped into the alley, wearing a thick jacket, boots heavy with mud. He was human. He looked around, and then his eyes met hers. Kalira froze. Would he yell too? Would he throw something? But the man didn't move. His eyes weren't angry, they were confused. What are you doing here, kid? He asked gently. She said nothing, just lowered her head. He walked closer and crouched down. You cold? He asked. She still didn't speak. The man sighed, then unzipped his coat. He pulled out a small foil package and placed it beside her. Warm, street bread and a cube of synth cheese. Her eyes widened. He stood up. I'll be back tomorrow. Don't get sick tonight, all right? Then he left. Kalira stared at the food. It was real, warm, given without asking for anything back. Slowly, she took a bite, and tears ran down her face. No one had ever cared. Before. No one had ever come back the next day. But this human did. She didn't know how long she had been sleeping, but the scent of warm bread woke her again. Kalira blinked. Her silver lashes were wet from last night's cold rain. The alley still smelled like garbage, but now there was something else. A soft voice spoke. You're still here. It was him. The human, the man who gave her food. He stood at the edge of the alley, holding a brown paper bag and a strange small box. Kalira sat up quickly, heart pounding. She didn't know why. She had met many humans before, but this one was different. The man crouched again. I brought you something, he said. He handed her the bag first. Hot food again. Real food. Then he held out the box. It was covered in cheap plastic wrap, a single pink candle sticking out of the top. Kalira stared at it. She didn't understand. It's a cake, the man explained. Today is your birthday, isn't it? She looked up, confused. What is birthday? The man paused. Then he gave a small smile, like something inside him cracked a little. It's the day you were born, a day we celebrate you're alive. We give cake. We light candles. We say, you matter. Kalira stared at the candle like it was magic. She shook her head. I don't know my birthday. The man's smile faded a little, then returned stronger. Then today is your birthday. From now on, okay? She didn't speak. Didn't blink. She had never been told she mattered. Not even once. He lit the candle. Make a wish, he said. She looked up at him. What is wish? He chuckled softly. It's something you want in your heart. You keep it secret. Then you blow out the candle. Kalira looked at the flame. She closed her eyes. She thought hard. I wish. She whispered in her mind. Someone would keep coming back. Then she blew out the candle. He clapped once. Perfect. Now eat. She took the smallest bite. Her eyes closed. It was sweet, soft, nothing like the leftover scraps from dumpsters. For the first time in her life, she smiled. The man stood. I'll come again tomorrow, okay? Wait, Kalira said, surprising even herself. What is your name? He turned. Connor, he said. I'm just a ship mechanic. I work nearby. Connor, she repeated, like it was a word from another world. She didn't ask for more, but in her chest, something warm had started to grow. That night, Kalira sat curled up in the alley again, holding the empty cake box like treasure. But something felt strange. Across the street, she saw two men standing near a glowing screen. They were pointing at something. A picture. Her picture. Wanted. Illegal alien species. Bring in for credits. Dangerous. Approach with caution. Her blood ran cold. She pressed herself deeper into the shadows. They were looking for her. Cliffhanger for Part 3. Connor doesn't return the next day. Kalira waits, scared and alone. Then, in the distance, she sees a hoverbike being chased by police drones, and the rider is holding something. A glowing blue bracelet from her homeworld. Could it be Connor? Kalira waited all day. She didn't eat, didn't sleep. She just sat in the same corner of the alley, staring toward the street where Connor always came from. But he didn't come. Not in the morning, not at midday, not at sunset. Her fingers gripped the empty cake box. Her chest felt heavy, not from hunger this time, but something worse. Fear. What if something happened to him? What if he found out she was illegal and left her for good? Her people had been hunted before. Kalira knew what humans did to her kind. Some were captured for money, others disappeared. The bounty signs were always up in rougher parts of the city, but Connor, he wasn't like that. Was he? Suddenly, shouts broke through the air. She looked up. The sound of police drones buzzed in the distance. People were yelling, running. A blue light flashed across the rooftops. And then she saw it. A black hoverbike shot past the alley, moving fast, too fast. A tall figure was riding it, wearing a dark helmet. 3 security drones chased behind, firing stun shots that cracked through the air like lightning. Kalira ducked. Her heart raced. But just before the bike disappeared around the corner, something flew off the rider's arm and landed near her. She waited. When the sounds faded, she crawled forward and picked it up. Her hands trembled. It was a bracelet, old, dusty, but glowing with soft blue light, the kind only her people's tech used. Her breath caught in her throat. This was from her homeworld, a Sheeran memory band, something only elders wore to record memories before death. Kalira had seen one once when she was a child, before the war took everything. But how did Connor get it? That night, she didn't sleep. She stared at the bracelet, pressing the soft center. It buzzed once, then blinked. A message appeared in the air, glowing letters in her native language. I found this near the crash site. Thought it might matter to you. Meet me where the lights are broken. See, her eyes filled with tears. He was trying to help her. He had searched for something from her past, risked being chased. And somehow, he knew this bracelet would mean something. She stood up, holding it close. She would find the broken lights. Across the city, Connor sat in an old workshop, bruised and dirty. His hoverbike was half broken, smoking from the chase. His hands were shaking. That was stupid, he muttered. So stupid. But he didn't regret it. He had searched the old scrap market after hearing rumors of alien tech from the last war. He found the bracelet, paid too much for it. Almost got caught, but he didn't care. That girl, Kalira, she looked so lost, so alone, and for some reason, he couldn't stop thinking about her. She didn't even know what a birthday was. That how could any child grow up like that? He looked out the window toward the dark sky. He just hoped she'd get the message. The city was dangerous at night, especially for someone like Kalira. Her small blue feet moved silently over the cracked pavement, hiding in shadows, ducking under flickering signs. The bracelet pulsed with soft light in her hand, guiding her toward the message's meeting point, where the lights are broken. She knew the place. Every street in this part of the district was broken, but there was one area, an old train station deep underground, where the lights had stopped working years ago. People said ghosts lived there, or worse, bounty hunters, but she didn't care. If Connor was there, she had to go. As she crept through an alley, a rat-like alien scurried past her. Distant sirens echoed in the air. Drones buzzed overhead, scanning rooftops. She moved faster. Down a stairwell, through a broken gate, past rusted train cars filled with mold and garbage. Then she saw it, a wide space under the ground, lit only by the weak glow of her bracelet. Wires hung from the ceiling like vines. Old posters peeled off the walls. The silence was too perfect. Kalira stepped forward. Connor? She whispered. No answer. She took another step. Suddenly, a light flashed, bright, blinding, metal. Boots hit the floor behind her. Voices shouted. Hands grabbed her shoulders. She screamed. Got her! One of the guards barked. It's the blue girl. Bag her. Kalira kicked and fought, but she was too small, too weak. They threw a cold restraint band around her wrists. Her glowing bracelet dropped to the ground. A voice echoed through the chamber, low, sharp. You really thought he came alone? Kalira looked up. A tall woman in black armor stepped forward. Her eyes glowed red behind her helmet. She held up a stun baton. Behind her, Kalira saw something that made her heart freeze. Connor. He was tied to a metal post. Blood on his lip, a bruise on his cheek. But his eyes, they widened when he saw Kalira. Let her go, he shouted, struggling against his restraints. The armored woman laughed. You risked your life for this little alien, for trash? She's not trash, Connor growled. She's a child. She's illegal, the woman snapped. And you helped her. That makes you worse. Kalira's whole body shook. Not from fear this time, from rage. No. More running. No more hiding. Her people had always been quiet, peaceful, gentle. But she remembered something her mother once said before the war: when you are alone and the world turns against you, scream loud enough for someone to hear. Kalira took a deep breath. Then she screamed. Not a normal scream, a high, vibrating cry in her alien tongue. The sound echoed through the broken tunnels, shaking dust from the ceiling. The guards winced and covered their ears. Connor's eyes widened. What is she? And then the lights exploded. Every bulb in the old station shattered. Sparks flew. The power grid fried. Darkness swallowed everything. In the chaos, Kalira rolled forward, using her thin arms to slide out of the guards' grip. Her bracelet, still pulsing, called to her. She grabbed it. Connor shouted through the dark, "Kalira, run!" But she didn't. She ran toward him. Everything was dark. Broken lights sizzled above. Sparks dropped from the ceiling like fireflies. The old underground station smelled of burnt metal and panic. Kalira ran toward Connor. The guards were confused. Their visors glitched. Their weapons lost power. Something in her scream had cracked the air, and now the bracelet on her wrist was glowing brighter than ever. Connor was tied to a support pole, arms above his head. His face lit up when he saw her. "You came back," he whispered, as if he couldn't believe it. Kalira reached him. "Hold still." With her small hands, she touched the memory bracelet to the metal cuffs around his wrists. The moment the glowing band made contact, click, the restraints popped open like magic. Connor dropped to the ground, groaning, "Remind me never to underestimate you again." But they weren't safe yet. A loud voice echoed behind them. "You little freaks think you're smart." It was the armored woman again. Her red eyes flared back to life. She raised her stun baton. Kalira stood in front of Connor, shielding him. "Stay back," she warned. The woman laughed. "What are you gonna do? Cry again?" But Kalira didn't cry. She lifted the bracelet into the air. "This isn't just memory tech," she said. "This is a key." The woman paused. "A key to what?" The station began to hum, a deep sound, like ancient machines waking up after sleeping for centuries. The walls glowed with thin lines of blue. Symbols appeared on the old bricks, glowing in her alien language. Connor looked around. "What's happening?" Kalira's voice shook with memory. "My people used to build shelters during wars, hidden places with power. They could heal or destroy." The armored woman stepped back. "You're bluffing." "No," Kalira said. "I'm remembering." She pressed the bracelet against a symbol on the wall. It glowed brighter, and the floor shook. Behind them, a wall slid open, revealing a secret room. It wasn't just a room. It was a chamber filled with alien tech, glowing cores, floating crystals, and a single pod in the center that hummed like a heartbeat. Connor gasped. "What is this place?" Kalira didn't answer. Her eyes were wide. This wasn't just a shelter. This was a life archive. A place where the last voices of her people were stored. The guards rushed forward, but the moment they crossed the blue line at the door, an invisible force blasted them backward. The armored woman hit the wall hard. Her weapon sparked and died. Kalira turned to Connor. "Only those with Sheeran blood can enter." This is sacred. Connor nodded slowly. Then it's yours. She stepped inside. Lights floated around her like stars. A voice, her mother's voice, echoed softly in the room, recorded long ago. To my daughter, if you ever find this, remember who you are. You are light in the dark. You are voice in silence. You are never alone. Tears welled in Calera's eyes. She turned to Connor. You believed in me before I even knew who I was. Connor smiled. You reminded me what it means to fight for something real. The ground trembled. Dust fell from the ceiling. The glowing crystals inside the alien chamber flickered like scared stars. Calera stood frozen, her mother's voice still echoing. In her ears, Connor glanced at her. That sound, it's a ship. A big one. Calera turned toward the door. They followed the signal. Outside, deep engine roars shook the old train tunnels. Then came the screech of metal claws gripping the street above. A shadow passed over the alley. The Bounty Guild had arrived. Above ground. A massive black ship hovered over the block. Its surface was covered in sharp wings and red lights. On its side was a terrifying symbol, a cracked skull eating a star. The Voidhounds, mercenaries who hunted rare species for profit. They didn't care about law, kindness, or mercy. All they wanted was money. And Calera's kind, the last of them, were worth millions. Back underground, Connor checked the doorway. They're sealing off exits. We're trapped. Calera nodded. They'll try to burn us out. Connor looked around the glowing chamber. Can this place fight back? Calera stared at the floating crystals, her thoughts racing. My people never build weapons, only protectors. She reached for the largest crystal, holding it with both hands. This one has memories, maybe power. The chamber responded. Blue light flowed into her arms. Images flashed in her mind, cities of her homeworld, peaceful rituals, and a last message from the elders. When the last child cries, let the light defend her. Calera opened her eyes. I can activate the shield, but once I do, the place will go to sleep forever. Connor placed a hand on her shoulder. Then we do it together. Above, in the bounty ship, a large alien with 6 arms stood at the edge of the open ramp. His armor was covered in old blood. A tracking device glowed on his wrist. She's down there, he growled. Brace for incineration. But before he could order the strike, a beam of blue light shot upward from the broken train station, piercing the clouds. The ship jolted. Alarms screamed. What the hell was that? Back in the chamber, Calera and Connor stood in the center as the pod began to hum. The walls pulsed like a heart. The ground beneath them glowed with ancient energy. Connor asked, What now? Calera looked at him, calm for the first time in days. We become the last memory. A soft wind blew through the room, though no doors were open. The power of her people surged one final time. Outside, the bounty ship was hit with a pulse wave. Not a weapon, a memory blast. The minds of every mercenary on board filled with visions. Children playing on distant blue fields, mothers singing in glowing temples, fathers planting starlight seeds. The bounty hunters fell to their knees, overwhelmed. Not hurt, just changed. The captain dropped his weapon. His claws trembled. Why does this hurt? He whispered. Because it wasn't pain. It was beauty. It was Kalira's people. Showing the galaxy what they had lost. In the quiet aftermath, the ship pulled away, not because it was forced, but because no one on board had the heart to continue. They left, silent, and the light faded. Connor and Kalira stood outside. The ruins, the chamber had sealed itself behind them, forever hidden. Kalira looked up at the stars. I thought I was the last one. Connor smiled. You were the last child, but not the last hope. Cliffhanger for Part 7, final part. The city believes Kalira is a hero now. Reporters want to talk. Scientists want to study her, but all she wants is a birthday. Connor has one last surprise, something simple, human, and beautiful. A home. Days passed since the sky turned blue with alien light. The city was still buzzing. News reporters crowded the streets near the old train station. Scientists argued on the net about what kind of tech had done it. The government said it was a glitch. Some said it was a ghost, but a few people knew the truth, and only one girl truly understood what had happened underground. Kalira now lived in a quiet corner of the city, not in an alley, but in a real home. Connor had fixed up the top floor of his workshop. The walls were clean, the heater worked, and there was a soft bed in the corner. A blanket too. Blue, just like her. She still woke up early every day. Old habits. She would sit near the window and watch the sky turn pink, waiting to hear Connor's heavy footsteps from downstairs. He always came up with breakfast. Always smiled when he saw her. One morning, he walked in holding a small box behind his back. Kalira raised an eyebrow. What is that? Connor smirked. You forgot. Forgot? What? He stepped forward, pulled the box out, and placed it on the table. I asked you last week. Remember, we agreed this day would be your birthday now, because the first time I brought you cake was this day. Kalira blinked. You remembered? He shrugged. I'm a mechanic, not a genius. But some things are hard to forget. She smiled. That smile had become brighter lately. Connor opened the box. Inside was a simple round cake, homemade, a little messy. The icing spelled her name in shaky letters. Happy birthday, Kalira. One candle stood in the middle, waiting. Kalira stared at it. This time, Connor said, make a wish you want to say out loud. She looked at him. Her silver eyes shimmered. I wish I never have to eat alone again. Connor placed a hand on her shoulder. You won't, not as long as I'm around. She lit the candle. Then blew it out. Later that day, there was a knock at the door. Connor opened it. Two strangers stood outside, a tall human woman in a lab coat, and a soft-spoken alien with green skin and golden eyes. We're not here to study her, the woman said. We're here to protect her. The alien nodded. We are part of the Star Memory Guild. We collect what remains of lost cultures. And thanks to your help, we believe Kalira's people can be remembered, truly and forever. Connor looked back at Kalira. She had walked to the door, silent, watching. You want to take her away? He asked carefully. The alien smiled. Only if she wants. Or we can give her a message to carry, a voice of her kind, for those who will listen. Kalira stepped forward. She didn't speak for a moment. Then she said softly, I'll stay. Here, this is my home now. But I will tell the story of my people, the love we had, the lights we shared. And we'll help you, the woman said. You're not alone anymore. That night, Kalira stood outside on the roof. The stars were bright. She wore a soft sweater Connor had found for her. Her bracelet was still on her wrist, now faded, but still warm. Connor walked up beside her. Good view? The best. She said. She looked up at him. I used to think my life was only meant for running, Connor chuckled. You've done a lot more than run. Kalira tilted her head. I didn't just survive, did I? No, Connor said. You lit up the sky.